Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good, man. It is that time once again. Our rosters are dealing with injuries, bye weeks, and all this trouble. Must-add players. Week number 9, waiver wire players. I mean, we need to revamp our rosters. It is getting dreadful out there, and the waiver wire is looking extremely skimpy. It's not good, but we got to find value wherever we can find it, especially at the running back spot. We don't have some bye week Armageddon, but we do got some bye week troubles. Denver, Detroit, San Fran, and Jacksonville all on the bye week, so big-time players will be off this week for our clubs, and we got to make do. Let's start with these running backs. Zach Charbonnet, I've been telling y'all for 5 weeks now, you needed to add him on your bench at least as a stash, because if Kenny Walker III does go down with an injury of any sort, you know Charbonnet is the best handcuff in the league right now in a good running offense. They did split touches this past week, a lot more than we had anticipated, but that was due in part to Kenny having a calf injury. So you knew eventually as the season does go on, they're going to try to limit the overall touches for Kenneth Walker, and Charbonnet was going to get into the game plan. Now 36% ownership, 25 points, almost half PPR leagues. He needs to be owned regardless of how you see your bench right now. You got to find ways to get him on your roster, because if Kenny does go down with any kind of other ailment that'll keep him out for any length of time, Charbonnet is definitely a running back one in this offense that is run heavy in Seattle. Roschon Johnson, the other running back, like I said, it's very skimpy. But okay, he comes back from the concussion, played versus the LA Chargers. They did not look good, and you got to believe even with Tyler Bagent, the film is out to know how to stop this young rookie quarterback. You got to lean on the ground game. So even if we saw a 50-50 split monster between him and Foreman, Roschon is still a good quality running back. Just got his feet wet this past week, coming off the concussion. He was off for 2 weeks. Now you got to understand that he likely will see a lot more touches in this backfield. Justin Fields still likely out for another 1 to 2 weeks, so this is a big problem. But if JF does come back, we could see Roschon absolutely inflate his statistics. 48% ownership. He should still be there in majority of leagues. Demercado, low floor, low ceiling. It's all low in Arizona right now. Kyler Murray rumors that he could be coming back very soon. Not this week, because they're going to be playing Tune. They're going to tune up everybody with Tune, and it's not going to happen because Dobbs did not look good. I don't foresee Tune doing a whole heck of a lot either, but at least Demercado is getting volume upside. That's why you're getting him on your roster at this point. You got to understand it's anywhere from 6 to 10 points, under 10 points, and it does not look great for Demercado, but we need running backs. He is definitely a filler this week. Jeff Wilson for these Miami Dolphins going across to play in Germany versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Still no Devin off the A-chain, HN. And it's going to be Mostert and it's going to be Wilson, likely with a little bit of Ahmad. I saw Wilson, he did look a lot better. So as he does return from his injury, they're going to, they lighten the load for him early on, but you got to believe his role could be expanded a little bit more. So don't expect the world from a Wilson, but at least there is some potential for fantasy productivity in that backfield with a Jeff Wilson. Tajay Spears, we do have the NFL trade deadline coming up today on Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern is the deadline. So we got to talk, will Derrick Henry be traded? That's the biggest question mark. We don't know if he is. Tajay Spears is going to be a massive waiver wire pickup. I don't foresee the NFL trade. We know the trade deadline in the NFL is not crazy. There's a lot of chatter beforehand, and then nothing usually happens, especially with top-end talent. We could see Henry remain, and then Spears would be another great handcuff like a Zach Charbonnet. Antonio Gibson, rumor has it that he could be on the move as his role is basically null and void in this offense. Too many mouths to feed. They don't necessarily require him at this point, so Gibby is on the trade block, and if he does find his way to another club, there is good PPR upside here as well, so definitely keep your eye on that. If he does not get traded and he remains on the Commanders, the Commies, he's nothing outside of a handcuff for a B-Rob. No kidding. Jaleel McLaughlin, his role is definitely curtailed back quite a bit in Denver with the evolution of Vontae. Now, finally, looking like he's fully healthy from that ACL injury. He still will have sprinkles, but it's only going to be in matchup play. They are on the bye this week, so I would definitely keep him on the waiver wire this week unless you want to stash him early, because like I said, it's better to be early. But his role is definitely going to keep going backward as long as Vontae is running the way he is. Royce Freeman and these LA Rams, it's a big problem. No more Matthew Stafford. They're going to struggle to run the football a lot in this offense. They got ripping. Stetson Bennett likely not coming back this season at quarterback, which is too bad because I thought Bennett could at least move this offense in the right direction without a Stafford. It's TD upside only for a Freeman, and this is going to be a problem for all managers who trust him at this point. Even when Kyron Williams comes back, he's likely off the team, so he would have been a rental player for you anyway, and he's not a very good rental at this point. Deep handcuffs, Tank Bigsby. Jags are on the bye as well, even though Etienne did, go to the medical tent this past game. He finished that contest, and he is only the handcuff. He's not as good as a Charbonnet in the handcuff region, but if an Etienne does go down, Tank Bigsby should see the load of volume. So if you do have rooms on deeper benches, Bigsby is definitely one I'm still putting on my bench. And a Dalvin Cook. He's been an absolute disappointment. He's complaining his role is not very good. But what did you expect, Dalvin? You were going to a team with Breece Hall. My evaluation on Cook going into the offseason was you likely only had 4 weeks of decent productivity, but Breece Hall is not human, and he came back earlier than expected. So Breece Hall only a watch player right now. If he does get traded to another club, that's the only way we see his stock inflated at this point. Quarterbacks. We got some issues, man. We saw Kirk Cousins go down. All you Kirk Cousins owners are going to be, scrambling to stream quarterbacks now, and you got to go with my guy, Sam Howell. I told y'all this guy was legit long time ago, and he's continuing to prove it. Yes, he does take a lot of sacks, but that is not necessarily always on him. The offensive line does not protect for him very well, and he's still doing the business, man. 37% ownership for a Sam Howell, almost 150 points, and he's got a good matchup versus New England Patriots. Yes, the Patriots play good defense versus the run, absolutely, but Sam Howell and this offensive weapon with Eric B are going to carve up teams. No kidding about that. Sam Howell is my best quarterback this week off the waiver wire, especially for all y'all that lost your quarterback or have quarterbacks on the bye, man. Derek Carr, again, okay, safe floor for him as well. Anywhere from the 13 to 18 points you're going to get from Carr at this point. We got to see the evolution with Chris Olave. Don't understand what is going on. They're going to Rashid Shaheed, and I do understand what's going on. Chris Olave's pulling all the coverage away from a Shaheed, and he's just roaming free with those electric speed wheels that he does have, and they're taking the deep shots, and it is working to great success. 104 points for Derek Carr, and they face those lowly Chicago Bears, who could be selling a lot of their players this today on the trade deadline, so we will see. It's a very good matchup for Derek Carr and these New Orleans Saints. Notable additions, we got Will Levis. Rookie Will Levis looked absolutely fantastic in his first contest with these Tennessee Titans, feeding D-Hop on the regular, but beware, buyer beware. We understand, okay? No, team defenses, especially with kids with talent, man. Levis has talent for days. Been telling y'all, you go back to that scouting report, he's got a great Dan Marino-type release. It just snaps off the wrist. It's unbelievable what he can do, and he's got a cannon of an arm. But will he be able to replicate that on a short week versus these Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday Night Football? We will see. I like Levis. I do. There is some inadequacy in his game when it comes to accuracy and the way that defenses can scheme up against him. So we will see what the Steelers do now that there is some film on a Will Levis. 1 week film is not a lot, but at least it is some on how you can scheme up to beat this man right now. He did look great. 4 touchdowns this past week. Baker Mayfield still can be streamed this week as well versus the Houston Texans. Yes, it should be on the lower end, but at least Baker is still moving this offense in the positive direction. Under 30% ownership, 115 points. He was able to move the ball, at least in garbage time versus the Buffalo Bills. Almost came away with the victory as well. So you can trust a Baker Mayfield once again this week. Even though I do like the Houston Texans defense, he should still be able to give you at least 15 points this week. Gardner Minshew going up against Carolina Panthers, and the defense has been playing well in Carolina. Minshew definitely saw a step back this past week in his contest, but he still is reliable enough because they do have weapons in Indianapolis. Take it on Carolina. He should at least compete for y'all. So if you're really struggling for a streaming quarterback, Minshew is definitely on the board. Look who pops up here is Bryce Young. Okay, it only took 8 weeks for Bryce Young to become somewhat fantasy viable, and this is a streaming option versus these Colts. Definitely this week, he looked very good versus the Houston Texans. Top-end point productivity won't be there as well, but he will give you a decent floor now, and he looks good. I do like Bryce Young, always liked Bryce Young. He just had to figure out the NFL game a little bit, it would take a little longer than somebody like a CJ Stroud. I was Team Stroud all the way, but Bryce Young is now finally on the radar for streaming quarterbacks because this week we desperately require them. Kyler Murray still on the IR on the 21-day return window. No injury designation, but they are not playing him this week. They are suiting up Tune, so if he is still there, 43.6% ownership, definitely get him on your roster for QB-hungry teams. I know I stashed him on my IR spot a couple weeks back, so hoping he comes back to some form to give my team an uplift because I've been streaming quarterbacks in one league all year. Wide receiver time, Rashid Shaheed. We can't ignore it anymore. He's just too electric. The speed is there. He's got good hands, and he's been making plays. What can you say? 84 points. Right now, half PBR is beating guys like Chris Olave, and this is not good, man. Chris Olave needs to get out of his own way at this point. You got balls jumping off his helmet. Like, come on, man. I just don't understand what's going on. But we got to go with what we know, and Rashid Shaheed is making plays. He is the ultimate boomer bust, type caliber wide receiver that we see in the NFL these days. He's a speed demon, no kidding, and he's going to burn guys down the field. He is making good plays, and he is getting lesser coverage. So, I mean, if you're willing with the kahunas to play him, Rashid Shaheed could definitely give you a good ceiling, but the floor is very low if they don't get to his direction. 27.2% ownership rate right now, almost 90 points, is nothing to sneeze at. He definitely needs to be owned on your roster. Tank Dell, 53.2% ownership. Yes, it's above the 50% mark, but if Tank is still on your waiver wire, you need to pick this man up. We see the rookies typically start to pick up steam after the halfway point of the regular season, and we will start to see a lot of these rookies start to take shape. So Week 6 for really quality, talented players, they find it, but Tank was dealing with some injury, lost a couple contests, and now he's able to come back. A lot of people thought he was going to blow up this past week. I did not think so. He needed to get his football legs back up underneath him, and then we will see the evolution continue to move forward. CJ Stroud still kind of was dealing with some, it wasn't his best game this past week versus the Panthers, but he should be able to pick it up as the season does go on. It's a war of attrition for these rookies at this point. They hit the rookie wall early, and hopefully they work their inadequacy out very quickly, but Tank Dell definitely needs to be owned on your roster. Jahan Dotson, told y'all not to give up on this man. It only took 8 weeks to get that 20-point spot, but I mean, okay, it had nothing to do with talent for a Jahan Dotson. The way that Eric Bieniemy has been scheming up a Dotson, he's pulling a lot of coverage from everybody else at this point, including some guys like Curtis Samuel, who has been doing well. You see what you can do with a Jahan Dotson once you get the ball in his hand. He is a quality premier wide receiver in this league, and hopefully they continue to force feed him. Get Jahan back on your roster, at least as a bench stash at this point if you can spare the room, because 51% ownership and 56 points coming off a 20-point spot this past week. Jahan Dotson is still my guy, and I'm not giving up on this guy just yet. Brandon Cooks, he was not targeted a whole heaping in a Dallas blowout versus the LA Rams, but at least he found the end zone and was able to give us a decent floor this week. Flex appeal all day long for a Brandon Cooks in this offense, as they have figured out how to utilize him in this pass game. Definitely on the ups for a Brandon Cooks. Curtis Samuel, he's still on the list, especially if they get rid of a Gibson. He will still have a decent floor for us as well, but you want to see the evolution. If it's me and I'm a betting man, I want to see the Jahan Dotson evolution overtake what Curtis Samuel is, where Curtis Samuel could hit off in 2 out of 4 games. I want to see, Jahan 3 out of 4. That's where I'm going with this. So I'm going Jahan over Samuel this week on the additions, but you have to understand Samuel's been a lot more consistent than Jahan has at this point. Quentin Johnston, almost made his first name wrong, but Quentin Johnston almost did it again. Okay, Josh Palmer's dealing with a knee injury, so this now uplifts Quentin Johnston to levels that he could be on our bench. You have to understand with Quentin what he's dealing with. This man is a body catcher. He's not a pure hand catcher whatsoever, and his route tree is extremely simplified. He does not separate with the best of them, so this is the problem. Is he athletic? Is he fast? Can he make all the plays when given the opportunity? Absolutely. He's a freak of nature when it comes to the athletic and speed categories, but he's got to round out the rest of his game, because we will see a lot of drop passes. We will see a lot of contested catches that he's going to have to do. Can he make the play? That has been the biggest question mark for me, and if Josh Palmer misses any time, he's going to have to be force-fed, so Kellen Moore is going to have to get very creative in how he gets this man the ball. Slants, drags, outs, and then, the go routes. These are the only routes that I feel comfortable preaching a Q Johnston at this point. He should be able to figure it out as his NFL career does move forward, because he is far too talented not to figure it out, but at this point for fantasy points, you got to hope that Kellen Moore's got a good plan for him if Palmer does sit. So watch the injury report before you pick up a Q Johnston. Treylon Burks now with the evolution of a Will Levis. We should see Burks starting to rise up the board, even though it was a force feeding of a DeAndre Hopkins. We'll see if D-Hop does get traded. That absolutely lifts a Treylon Burks up everybody's board, including mine. But even if Will Levis does play to even, I want to say 60% of what we saw this past week, this will absolutely lift up a Treylon Burks to wide receiver 2 levels that we we had hoped for, and hopefully it does continue. But he is a rookie quarterback feeding these wide receivers, so we'll see how it does work. Burks has been dealing with a knee injury all season long, so it hasn't been great. Definitely on the notable list right now. Reed from the Green Bay Packers. Oh, man, these wide receivers are dropping all these passes. There's no love for love right now. It's not looking good in Green Bay, but I mean, this is what we expected, okay? I had anticipated them to have worked this out already by now, because you would have expected the stumble to be week 3 to week 6, and then they would figure it out. We're going into week 9, and they still look dreadful. Green Bay definitely needs to go back to the drawing board. These wide receivers need to stop dropping passes that are in their breadbasket and help out Jordan Love at this point. Reed is definitely one of these PPR guys. High risk, high reward at this point. Khalil Shakir finds himself on the notable list for the first time, I think, ever in my time here dealing with waiver wire priority. But again, okay, here's the thing. With a Khalil Shakir, it's going to be hit and miss at this point. We got to see a lot more consistency before we can add him to our roster, but he is definitely on the watch list right now. Khalil Shakir is a very talented wide receiver, very consistent with his hands, and he does get open. Contested catches be damned, because he definitely finds his way to make these catches happen. So if the Buffalo Bills are smart, they continuously use a Dalton Kincaid and a Khalil Shakir on the regular, because these guys will absolutely pay dividends as you sprinkle them into the offensive power. He is on the notable addition, as is Darnell Mooney. Rumor has it right now that he could be on his way out of Chicago, and rumor has it that the Kansas City Chiefs are kind of smitten by this man right now, and if they do get him on the Kansas City Chiefs roster, there is big ups here playing with Patrick Mahomes. I've been a Darnell Mooney fan. I still am. I think he's quality. I think he's a great route runner, and he does generate separation. He's just not given the opportunity here in Chicago with how poor the offense has played. So if he does find his way onto another club, what if it is the Kansas City Chiefs, then his stock will definitely rise. So he is definitely on the watch list as well. Same with Jake Bobo. 36 points, man, only 1% ownership. Yes, I understand the wide receiver room is absolutely full with DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith-Njigba, but Bobo's still got to roll. He's got to roll enough in deeper leagues that if you require a good matchup play wide receiver that scores touchdowns, Jake Bobo is definitely there, but he's only in deeper leagues at this point. Definitely, if one of these wide receivers go down, he is a great handcuff for this wide receiver room for Seattle. No kidding about that. Finishing it off with tight ends. Taysom Hill, man, okay, we can't ignore it any further. He 3 contests in a row, putting up good quality points. They're going to continue to utilize this man, especially on the goal line. This comes to the expense of Alvin Kamara and a Jamal Williams, as Taysom Hill has been repaying in this offense quite a bit. He's getting some sprinkles in the pass game, but the touchdowns are saving him, and he's doing well. Okay, this is what Taysom Hill does. 62 points right now, 24% ownership. If you got a Darren Waller who popped on the hammy, Taysom Hill is a definite must-add this week, because, I mean, it's a great matchup as well. Like I said, definitely could see another touchdown coming from a Taysom Hill this week. Ferguson from these Dallas Cowboys, at least the target share is there enough to support a tight end option for Dallas once again. We got used to Dalton Schultz giving us the 4 for 45 and potential a touchdown. It's going to be the same here for Ferguson as well. If you're struggling at the tight end spot, 53% ownership. He's likely not there in majority of leagues. If he is, he's a good streaming tight end this week as well. Same with Trey McBride. We'll see, okay, what's the MO for young quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks who don't have a lot of playing time? They require the safety blanket, and McBride, he popped off this past week in garbage time, so I definitely expect that to happen. Once again, he is the big body pass-catching tight end that will be able to at least force the hand, and if they do get in the red zone, he's a great option in the red zone as well. Target share should definitely be here with a tune playing quarterback. McBride is one, but it is high risk, high reward for me. Logan Thomas, once again, standard of consistency, man. He is one of these tight ends that, okay, there is so many mouths to feed in Washington, but he is one of these guys that has made chemistry with a Sam Howell, and he is a definite red zone appeal option. Logan Thomas definitely is a great streaming source right now at the tight end spot. 41% ownership for us. Hunter Henry is back on my radar simply because they lost Kendrick Bourne to the injury. He is done for the season with an ACL tear. They got to pass to somebody, and maybe we see Henry start to pop off again. I would not pick him up this week until we wait and see, but if you're dying for a tight end, there is potential here that Henry is going to see his target share inflated now that Bourne is gone. Donald Parham, So long as Gerald Everett is off the field, I think Parham can be trusted. 40 points right now, man. It's nothing to sneeze at. 2.1% ownership. He's a big man. He's like 6'8", 260 pounds. He should be the starting tight end in this offense. Yes, health has been the issue for this man in the past, but Parham is one of these guys that I think as we see this a year continue moving forward, they wanted to see what they had in a Parham. I think they're going to continue to force feed this man as he is too big of a body to not throw up the ball because he will come down with it. He's got some light feet and speed to go with his game, man. Guys that are 6'8" should not be playing like that. But Parham is definitely on the rise for me. Watch player right now. If you're in deeper leagues, he's definitely a must-add 14-team and 16-team leagues, 110%. Ogletree from these Indianapolis Colts. Okay, the crapshoot continues for the tight end spot as Gardner Minshew is looking for anything. Ogletree right now is only the tight end touchdown option and goal line upside for this offense. He is definitely hit or miss, but I do want to see he's on my list right now because at least he's popping off, and they're looking for that, that trusted, reliable commodity at the tight end spot. Ogletree is filling that need right now. Will it continue because they still got Mo Cox, Mo problems, but I mean, at least Ogletree is starting to find the end zone. So anybody that finds the end zone at the tight end spot, you got to warrant my attention because you could, like I said, you could roll in the end zone 4 times and you're a top 10 fantasy tight end in half PPR. But there you have it. That is this week's edition of Waiver Wire Must-Add Players. It's skimpy, man. I told y'all, but we got to make do. We got to find the values where they are and play these matchups this week to get our wins. This, starting our rosters is going to be paramount to getting victories this week. No kidding. It is not looking good. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.